guys, welcome back to another video. As you can see, I'm in my true crime spot, the cool kid square. But I'm not doing true crime. Today I'm going to be talking about 45 fun facts about the original Fright Night from 1985. And you know, I met Chris around and you know, just a thing. So today we're gonna go over some fun facts you might not know about this classic movie. Let's get into it, shall we?
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster.
The main premise of the movie is Charlie Brewster, who has a new neighbor that moves next door, who so happens to be a vampire. Nobody believes him, so he starts freaking out, pisses the vampire off a little bit, calls Peter Vincent. Eventually there's a fight, Amy gets kidnapped. You have to watch the movie. But the main premise of the movie is based off The Boy Who Cried Wolf. You know, he continues to say, oh, I saw a werewolf, but nothing's there, and then suddenly there's a wolf. Well, not a werewolf, just a wolf. Could be a werewolf. That's a movie from Nickelodeon. So it's based off the idea that someone continually says something is real, and then when it actually is real, no one believes them. So it's based off of that idea where a vampire's living next door, but he's a horror fan. Charlie loves horror movies, so no one really believes him that a vampire is living next door to him until, you know, too late. When Tom Holland, not Spider-Man Tom Holland, different Tom Holland, spelled almost exactly the same though. Tom Holland, when he was creating the script for Fright Night, was thinking of where would a boy who cried wolf go to? Where would he go? A vampire fan, who would he go to for advice? And he thought of Vincent Price. He actually was trying to get Vincent to be in his movie, but Vincent was of poor health at the time, so he couldn't cast Vincent in the role. So he created Peter Vincent, created from two icons, Vincent Price and Peter Cushing, who is the greatest Van Helsing, in my opinion. You just have to watch, what movie is it? It's one of the old Dracula movies, but Christopher Lee isn't in it. I'll have it on the screen. I don't remember what it's called, but there's one scene in that movie that defines how badass this man is. It involves a hot iron, and oh my god, he's awesome. But Peter Vincent is combined from Peter Cushing and Vincent Price to create Peter Vincent, and he was cast as Roddy McDowall. That's who's playing him. But Roddy didn't want to be Vincent Price. He didn't want to be serious. He didn't want to even be a good actor. Which kind of goes into number 3, which is he didn't want to play it like Vincent Price. He wanted to play it like a terrible actor. So he was a vampire hunter actor in like 10, 12 movies. He played the same character in all of them, was rarely paid, was not a great actor, you know, a stereotype horrible actor from those times. But he was like typecast in crappy movies. So he wanted it to be like a down on his luck guy who's hosting a show, who's not good at acting, but it's all he's got, basically, which is unfortunate, but that's Peter Vincent's life. He didn't want to be like a serious, you know, vampire hunting badass, you know, it was like the more, I'm frightened, I'm faking it, you know what I mean, like, that's all I got. And the script for Fright Night was written in 3 weeks. Tom just kept writing and writing and writing. Now, of course, there could have been some alterations within that time, but supposedly he wrote the entire script for the original Fright Night in 3 weeks. That's some dedication, my guy. And I'm here for it. So by the time that Fright Night was being produced, Tom Holland was a veteran in Hollywood. He had done some small roles in acting that didn't really get him anywhere, so he went into screenwriting, which he was actually really, really good at. And so he wrote Fright Night and decided that he was going to make his director debut in Fright Night, as some of his prior movies were directed terribly, and he did not want Fright Night to go into that category. The movie before Fright Night, called Scream for Help, was one of those movies, and he was concerned that Fright Night would go down the same path as Scream for Help, so he decided that he was going to protect Fright Night by directing it himself. More of like a self-defense. Protecting the thing he created from someone ruining it. So he's like, I wrote this, I am going to direct it. And so he did. Throughout the movie, Jerry eats fruit. He's seen eating an apple, an orange. he's chewing on fruit. Now, most people would be like, he's a vampire, how is he even eating food? But Chris Sarandon, who plays Jerry, actually like did some research on vampires and bats. And most bats are fruit bats. They're not all vampire bats. But he's like, what if in somewhere in Jerry's genealogy, he was part fruit bat? I mean, it's quite possible. You never know. So he decided that Jerry would be eating fruit as part of like a fruit bat thing. That's why he's seen eating fruit. Because not all bats are vampires. Charlie Brewster is played by William Ragsdale. Now, William was in one movie prior to Fright Night, and it was like a bit role. It was really small. So this was his like his breakthrough movie, like the movie that really skyrocketed him into people's view. Because no one really knew about him prior to this movie. I'm not saying no one knew. But this movie really like put his name out there for the world to see. And he heard about him getting the part on Halloween. Like, he had traveled down for auditions for weeks, multiple trips down so that he could audition for this part, and he actually found out on Halloween, which is pretty awesome. In the original ending for Fright Night, when Charlie and Amy are watching Fright Night on the TV, Peter becomes a vampire live on television, like full out eyes, fangs, admitting to the part that he was bitten at some point and became a vampire. Honestly, I would have loved that. One of the producers or company partners or whatever called Tom Holland and told him to change the ending because it was like a downer. They wanted it to end on a high note, they beat the villain situation. Not that, oh no, Peter's a vampire now. But honestly, I think it would have been entertaining. And it would have made the second movie even more entertaining if Peter was a vampire. Just saying, I would have loved it. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the film, when Jerry dies, he explodes in a ball of like green fire. And as he's dying, he turns into this giant bat. And he's like swaying. And eventually he just blows up and extinguishes in green fire, which was hella awesome, by the way. But the puppet that they are using for that scene is actually an unused puppet from the original Ghostbusters movie, as the special effects, or yeah, I believe some of the special effects team from Ghostbusters actually worked on Fright Night, like, because the original Ghostbusters came out in 1984 prior to this movie beginning production. So they just moved to this one, and they're like, hey, it's an unused puppet. Let's use it. They didn't use it because they thought it was too scary for Ghostbusters. So, Fright Night got it instead. Actors were given 2 weeks of rehearsal time before they actually started filming, which is rare for movies. So it really helped with the filming process, as they had time to really go through what they were going to work on. And during this time, Tom Holland actually asked the cast to write like a 1 to 2 page maybe paragraph, just like a biography of their characters, like a backstory, so that they were more fleshed out, so they felt more like the character rather than just playing a part. Which is actually like a really good idea. It really gets them in the mode, like what would the character be thinking, It's pretty cool. Reportedly, Roddy McDowall, Peter Vincent, had a camera on set, and he was like filming behind the scenes and like bloopers with his own like camera that he brought, but no one knows where the footage is. If it was ever shared, if it's somewhere locked in a safe or at a rummage sale, I don't know. Roddy is no longer with us, so we can't really ask him, but I would love to see that footage if someone could find it. If a grandkid has that camera and somehow finds this footage, share it, because I want to see that. Roddy just carrying a camera around behind the scenes stuff, that sounds awesome. That would have been awesome as like a behind the scenes on like when they redid the disc, or I don't know if you could really do that on VHS, you might. Just saying, that would be sweet. Someone needs to find that, because I want to see it. I want to see it. So, Fright Night was not the first vampire movie, obviously. Lost Boys comes out 2 years later. You have all the Dracula movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s. You got the original Dracula from 31, Nosferatu. We don't talk about that one. It sucks. But Fright Night was the first vampire movie to spend $1 million on special effects. Most vampire movies did not go heavy into the special effects until this time. A lot of them were just, You know, oh, they bite someone and then it goes to black. Or maybe they do show it, but it's like 2 pricks and blood. Or maybe they have bats with string. You know what I mean? So, like, this was one of the first movies to spend a lot of money on special effects to make it look really spooky and scary and cool. Which, it was. So Jerry's transformation, like his final scary vampire face, took 8 hours to put on Chris Sarandon, which is too long. It's too long. Is way too long. But during this time, because he had to pass the time and there wasn't cell phones in 1985, not the way we have them, he learned hypnosis and meditation. Like, he practiced it while he was sitting there waiting for them to put their makeup on. Which back then took even longer, because I don't know, you know, how well prosthetics and all that jazz was. So, 8 hours. That's fun. I'm glad that he practiced meditation, because it probably got really boring. Charlie's car is actually the director's car, Tom Holland's 1966 Ford Mustang. My question, however, is, was it painted like that prior to filming? Because it looks like a mushroom cow from Minecraft, and I just want to know if he had it like that on purpose, or if they did the terrible paint job for the movie. I mean, it's not horrible. It's kind of cool. It's unique. But it's like, who paints a car like that? Maybe that's Tom Holland's taste. I don't know. The makeup artist Ken Diaz, who worked on Fright Night, actually went on to work on the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Black Panther, and the new Top Gun Maverick movie. So, like, I don't know if his first movie was Fright Night, probably not. But hey, if he didn't work on Fright Night, maybe he wouldn't have done Black Panther. That's probably not true. But hey, just saying, pretty cool. A novelization of the movie was done in the year the movie came out in 1985, and basically the writers were given Tom Holland's script and they had a month to turn it into a book. Now obviously they didn't just copy and paste it into a book. They had to novelize it, so basically add she said, he said, and probably descriptions and stuff like that, but they had a month to write the whole book. I do not own the book. I do want it though, because I didn't know it existed, so guess who's gonna go try and buy one? I highly doubt there's many. Probably be expensive. But one day, I will own the novelization of Fright Night. Let me tell you, I will find a way. One of the accomplishments that Fright Night received was that it's the second highest grossing horror movie of 1985. Now, if it was the second grossing horror movie of all time, that would be sick! It's not. But it is the second highest grossing horror movie of 1985 with $25 million. It got second place to the sequel to the original Nightmare on Elm Street, which got $30 million. Only $5 million away from being the top grossing horror movie of that year. That shows you how awesome the movie is all I'm saying. So around 2008, most of the original cast had like a reunion of sorts, and they were never asked to do like commentary over the movie, which a lot of, you know, actors do for discs and stuff, or sometimes. They're asked to do a commentary over the movie while they watch. And so in 2008, most of the cast got together and they decided that they were going to do it anyway because they were never asked to make one. And so they made an unofficial pirated commentary of the movie, which came out free on MP3. And I believe it was added to the 30th anniversary. They made a 30th anniversary disc, which sold out in like 2 days. So there's that. And I believe the commentary is on that disc, if I'm not certain, but I believe so. So there was a lot of special effects in Fright Night, from the ending scene to Amy's face to Ed dying. There's a lot of special effects, but the most complicated special effect, which has amazed me to this day, is the mirror scene where Jerry is not in the mirror, which nowadays is quite easy to do. Back then, not so much. So what they did, and which a lot of people do now, is they put a blue screen, or blue blanket, or whatever, over the mirror, and then they pasted over a clip of the door opening and closing without Jerry there, and then they, you know, superimposed it and combined it to make it look the same. But if you look really closely, there is still like a faint blue line around the mirror, around that area, as that's what they use to do that. Now nowadays, with the technology we have, it's still complicated and annoying, but it is possible to remove people from mirrors a lot easier. Back then, when they were using film and all this other stuff, it's quite difficult to, like, do stuff like that. But, I mean, even with the faint blue line, that's pretty sick. I was always like, wow, how'd they do that? So, there you go. One of the characters, Billy Cole, is not human, but no one actually knows what he is. He's something to Jerry, and in the end, when he dies, he wakes up, he gets, like, shanked? No, he gets shot, stands up like a zombie, comes back, gets shanked, and then he turns to goo. He, like, literally melts. Not even the director has said what Billy Cole is. He said that he was, like, a half vampire of sorts, maybe. But no one actually has come out, not even the director who wrote the script has told anyone what he actually is. He said maybe a half vampire of sorts. Maybe. So, I don't even know if he knows what it is or if he ever decided, and he's like, eh. What's also fun, which combines with this, is that what is the relationship between Billy Cole and Jerry? That has also never been defined. Is he a servant? Is he a friend? Is he a lover? Both actors, Billy Cole and Jerry, have neither denied nor dismissed the idea that they could have been together. Now, this was not discussed during filming. They were not, while filming, going, they could be gay. This is the 80s. They didn't talk about that. But neither have, like, been against the idea that maybe they were in a relationship, which I think would be hella awesome. So a lot of the special effects went with Ed and Jerry and little things in between. But Amy had a lot of makeup transformations as well. Of course, it's the end where she's becoming a vampire with the contacts and the wig and the face. But while they're dancing, her makeup and her hair get more mature as she's dancing with Jerry. And while she's a vampire, back to that part, where they had, her transform into more of a woman, you know what I mean? Like a, hey, seductress. She actually had fake boobs on, which I did not know. They must have looked good because it must have been applied well because I had no idea she was wearing fake boobs at all. She actually kept the prosthetic piece for 25 years, which is a weird thing to keep from a set. Eventually, she gave it to someone at a fan convention. I don't know who wanted it or why she gave it to someone, but she doesn't have it anymore. But she did keep it. So, I mean, that's the part I keep. I don't know about you, but speaking of the prosthetics that she had to wear, the iconic mouthpiece, the scary teeth, that was actually not originally planned. They got closer to the end of filming and he realized that it needed a more oomph. So he wanted to make Amy scarier. So he asked one of the prosthetic people on the set if he could make something for free, just please. He pleaded. And the guy reluctantly said he could make something, or try. And so they made the piece, and Tom did all the filming with her scary face on in one day. Because I believe he only had one day. He's like, I'll only use it for a day. And then he filmed all the scenes, and it really, added something to it, and everyone agreed that it looked cool. And the marketing team loved it so much that it made it the centerpiece of the poster for the movie. So if he had not begged that guy to make the piece and he didn't reluctantly say yes, we wouldn't have the cool poster and the scary Amy image that we all know today. While filming on Christmas Eve 1984, William Ragsdale actually broke his ankle running down some stairs. I don't know how he broke his ankle. Did he trip? Because he was going down them. So maybe he fell. I'm not sure, but he was running down the stairs, and they believed that he had sprained his ankle, but the sound recorder said that he heard the bone snap in his headphones, which is gross, and they took him to the hospital, found out his ankle was broken, and so that really deterred filming for a little while, because he had a hard time walking. So they moved all his action scenes to later, and they focused on other scenes where he wouldn't have to do a lot of, physical exertion. And that made filming have to extend, which went into their budget. And it really did not go well with the producers and the company that was producing the movie. And supposedly, a angry producer, followed William around on set, and when no one was around, would tell him that he was costing him $100,000 a day because of his injury. It's not his fault. I don't exactly know the backstory of how his ankle broke, but the bone audibly cracked, like snapped. So I don't know what he was doing, but that must have hurt like a bitch. So yes, it did deter filming, and companies hate when they have to extend things or it's not on time, but following him around and telling him how much money he's costing you, not cool. Not cool, dude. The final fact is actually a fact about the second movie. There are 2 Fright Nights, Fright Night and Fright Night Part 2. There's also a remake of the original, and that other that's supposedly a remake of the original, but it totally is not. And I will fight you on that if you believe it is. I made a video talking about all 4 of them, if you would like to watch that. But originally they were going to try and make a 3rd Fright Night movie. The second movie is not directed by Tom Holland, as he was doing Child's Play at the time, but he was hoping to direct the 3rd Fright Night. And Roddy Dowell was completely in on it, and they were going to go talk to Jose Menendez. He was like the chairman of Live Entertainment, which was the company that owned Fright Night at the time. So they were going to talk with him and see if they could get in the works a 3rd Fright Night movie. But sadly, before this meeting could occur, he was murdered. He and his wife were murdered by his 2 sons. It's just like, that's horrible timing, dude. Why? So he was murdered, which kind of put a wrench in everyone's plans. That kind of just determined that there was not going to be a 3rd one, because him dying really messed with everything, and there was no way they were going to get approval for a 3rd movie when the chairman just got murdered. And this also dampened the marketing for the 2nd movie, because his company owned Fright Night, and now his company was kind of like scrambling because he was dead. So there wasn't as much marketing, or as good as marketing as there could have been for the 2nd movie. So the 2nd movie went straight to video rather than as the original Fright Night was played in theaters. So it didn't do as well. It's a really good sequel though. Like, if you actually give it time, it's really good. And I would have loved to see a 3rd one. I would have loved to see a 3rd one. And I'm sad that it never happened. Hopefully, though, Tom Holland regained rights to Fright Night, I believe, in 2017. And he talked about making a 3rd Fright Night that went off of, I think, right after, like, based on the 2nd one. Like, Charlie's an adult with kids now, and then there's a vampire who moves next door, who's supposedly Evil Ed, who's trying to resurrect Jerry, and it's like this whole thing. I don't know if that would be the final storyline, but it has been talked about. I don't know how much new news has come from that. That was 2017 when he kind of mentioned the idea. It's 2022 now. He mentioned that he was going to make a novel of it first, and then make the movie, as he is a writer. I do not know what's going to happen with that. I don't know if anything has come from that, but if they do make another one, I will for sure be watching it, and I will love every second of it, because Fright Night, there's just something about it. There's something that I love about it. It's a great movie. I love the sequel. I've seen the remake from 2011. I like it. It's not the same. Even the original cast says it doesn't have the same, like, energy, the same vibe, which is accurate, because Fright Night's from the 80s. You know, the one in 2011 was more modern, and it's not as cool. And then you talk about Fright Night 2, New Blood, from 2013, which should not be a Fright Night 2. And I will stand and die on this hill that it should not be a Fright Night 2, because it is not. So they called it Fright Night 2 because it was 2 years after the other Fright Night, right? And you're like, oh, it's a sequel to the Fright Night that just came out. No. It has nothing to do with that. It has a completely different cast. And it's like a remake of the first movie, but like, not. It's like they're trying, but they changed so much shit that it's not even the same. It's not. It does not deserve a Fright Night 2, for one. And it definitely does not deserve to be a remake of the original, because it isn't. The 2011 one, yeah. I'd say it's a remake. They modernized some things. It's not exactly the same as the original, but yes, that is a remake. Fright Night 2 shouldn't be a 2. Is technically a remake of the first one, but it's changed so much that it's basically a movie by itself. And that's a fact. I talk about this in great detail in a video I made where I talk about all 4 Fright Night movies. So, you should watch that, because I rant a little bit in that, and you'll probably enjoy it if you enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are 25 facts about the original Fright Night. Well, 24 in a way. If you'd like more of these, or I talk about the other Fright Night movies or other vampire movies in general, I totally can. I just wanted to talk about Fright Night. I don't know a lot of people who have seen Fright Night. Like, I love Lost Boys as well, which more people do know about. Not as many in my age range, but Lost Boys is a more, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about, rather than Fright Night. But both are iconic pieces of media that I suggest everyone to watch. Yes. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you have any facts that I may not have mentioned, comment down below. I'd love to see them. And I will see you guys on Thursday with another True Crime Thursday and Monday with whatever I decide to post. Alright guys, I'll see you later.